Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. Glad you could join me. This time I want to talk about some premium vehicles that were quietly removed from sale. Most importantly, I want to let you know about the ones which were so good that if Gaijin ever brings them back, you should snatch them up pretty quickly, and also which ones you should ignore. Now, sometimes the reason Gaijin will pull a vehicle is quite obvious. Poor in-game performance affects sales performance. Some vehicles are just a struggle bus from the get-go, no matter what Gaijin does. Also in a game like this, vehicles get power crept all the time as new content arrives, so that factors in as well. And finally, sometimes I guess it's just been on sale for so long, it gets pulled and only reappears for certain sales events. So here is my list of 6 top premiums that were removed from sale and are now unobtainable. First up is a vehicle that I bought and I really started to dislike it over time, and that's the Vautour IIA IDF. And that was replaced by another Vautour, the SO40502N, which still kind of sucked. So the Vautour IDF was removed in late 2021. It kind of disappeared around the Winged Lions update. And so let's look at the story here. The Vautour at one time was a pretty competitive fighter bomber, depending on how you used it. You could carry air-to-air missiles, like an all air-to-air loadout, and kind of get some memes. It was fun back in the day. And you could also use it as a pretty good bomber. It was fast, and it could usually get to the target and escape because of the tremendous engine power. I did use it to grind most of the French aviation tech tree back in the day. Needless to say, that has all changed now. As new aircraft were introduced around its tier, it became pretty painful to play the Vautour. I still see people trying to make it work, and I just shake my head, as I gun them down. Subsonic bombers at this tier are rough to fly. Don't get this thing ever, or the 2N for that matter. Yeah, for me, it's out of here and it should stay gone. Alright, so next up is the J29D, replaced by the J35A. It was removed in late 2021 after the 9th anniversary sale. Now, I love this plane. I use it to grind most of the Swedish tech tree before the J35 came out. The J29D, it was nimble, fast, and it had great performance, especially in a vertical. It also has a awesome roll rate. Facing MiG-15s and MiG-17s, for me in this was no problem. You had 4 really mean 30mm Aiken cannons, which were really good, but you could run out of ammo quickly. You had to be disciplined on the trigger. At 8.7, the J29D was fun to play in my opinion. If it ever comes back, I would snatch it up, especially if you like all gun dogfighters. So why did the J29D get axed? In my opinion, the introduction of the JA37C had everything to do with that. It was an opportunity to sell a better premium, the J35A, and capitalize on the grind to the JA37C. So that's why I think it's gone. Alright, so next up is the T69-2G, which was replaced by the ZTZ-96A. It was removed in 2022. This was a very mediocre tank in my opinion, and the T62 before the T69-2G was very mediocre as well. Gaijin was just trying to find something I think that players would actually like and purchase from the premium shop. So they finally found something in the ZTZ-96A prototype. But the T69-2G as a grinder, it made okay SL and RP. But you were outclassed by nearly everything you ever came up against. It had no thermals, it had an okay APF SDS round, and it had okay armor. Its explosive reactive armor, to be honest, it did save me quite a few times. So that was a pretty good thing about it. Mobility on this was bad as usual. In these type of tanks, it's always pretty bad. So why did the T69-2G get axed? I've kind of said it already. It was a slow seller because it was unremarkable. And it didn't have a lot of things that other tanks had. This, in my opinion, this is best left in premium vehicle heaven because the ZTZ-96A prototype, which I did a video on, is a much better buy. So yeah, it's out of here and I think it should stay gone. So up next is the MiG-17 AS, removed in 2022, replaced by, the Ac-38 Su-7 BMK. I love this plane, but only after I failed in it so much. Its performance in the vertical is renowned. I have to say, if you can master this jet, you are well on your way to being a good pilot in War Thunder. So why was it removed? I think the MiG-17 AS achieved market saturation as well. That was just a big factor for it. People always want the next shiny thing, and the MiG-17 AS wasn't very shiny anymore, although it was a very competent plane. Alongside the, you got the Ac-38, like I was talking about, the Su-7 BMK, and I think that, people just wanted to move on. The plane is really good though. Probably not very desirable for those who didn't know, but now you know. And those that know will get this plane if they ever see it again. So if I see it on sale again and you don't have it, you should pick it up. Alright, so up is the Shenyang F-5, replaced by the A5C, removed in the 9th anniversary sale event, and revived again, so a little bit of Lazarus there for the 2022 Lunar New Year event, then removed again. So the Shenyang F-5, like I said, kind of got resurrected from the dead for a brief sales event and then went back to being dead again. Frankly, I hold the F-5 in the same place as the MiG-17 AS. Excellent flight characteristics if you can master it. If you see it come back, you ought to get this plane. I mean, the A5C is good, but the Shenyang F-5 was just satisfying to me to get kills in. But just like the 17 AS, I think market saturation killed this plane. Gaijin had just sold as many as they could, and people wanted it, already had it. So there's one more vehicle left here and then I'm going to close out, but it's the OF-40 MTCA, which was removed this year. So the MTCA was a solid tank in my opinion. It didn't have any fancy thermals, laser warning system, or explosive reactive armor, but what it did have was good mobility, good firepower, and really trolley angles on the armor. The armor was as thin as paper, but man, sometimes you could bounce rounds for days just because of the angles. I think the MTCA was due to be rotated out due to market saturation, really. Everybody who had it, everybody who wanted it already had it. And it just wasn't very remarkable and very shiny anymore. And playing the Italian tech tree, it's already a pretty small niche. Not many people play that tech tree. I'd love to see it replaced by something like the Leonardo M60A3, but who knows. But if you ever see the O40 MTCA come back on sale or something, I would get it, especially if it's discounted. It's a pretty competent tank. Alright, so overall, those were my picks. I've played all these vehicles, so I got some pretty good experience in them. One thing I did mention for the aircraft that could possibly be a factor for them coming out, especially with the Vautour, is compression. A lot of new jets added at the top, it kind of pushing down on jets like the Vautour. They're not very good anymore. And you could also, even for the J29D and even the MiG-17 AS and the Shenyang F-5, with all of the new jets with better missiles and sometimes even countermeasures around those tiers, that could also be possibly a reason why Gaijin decided to rotate them out and put in better replacements, especially in the case of the Shenyang F-5. The A5C is pretty remarkable. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like and subscribe. It always helps me out. And I will see you in a future video. Thanks.